Time Talk with Angela Miller here today. And today I have Olivia that's going to be asking me some questions that I can answer for you guys. What you got for me today, Olivia?
Yeah, so the first thing to start with is always, who you are, where you've been, why you're here, all that fun stuff. Starting from, obviously, you're a real estate agent, around for over 20 years. So what started that?
Almost 30 years. Yeah, Amy's 29, 20, 28, 20, I don't know. Anyway, I got into real estate August 3rd, 1994. It seems like forever ago, but yet it feels like it was just yesterday. So prior to real estate, I was part owner with my husband and another partner in Georgia. We owned a company called Georgia Custom Shutter Company. And we fabricated and installed exterior shutters to some high-end homes in the Atlanta metro area. While out working in the industry, I met a gentleman named John Bertrowski who came up to me, or I came up to him, whatever. I was making a sales call. And John said, you ought to really think about getting into real estate. Well, today, I think about the Napoleon Hill book, Think and Grow Rich and 3 Feet from Gold. And I'm so glad that I listened to what somebody else saw in me and encouraged me to venture off into another direction, because it has been a wonderful journey in the almost 30 years of my life in selling real estate. I came into real estate, first year in real estate, rookie of the year. My broker at the time, Karen Love, said, well, if I knew all it took was getting you pregnant, I would have got you pregnant a long time ago. I'm like, no, you wouldn't have. Because I already had 2 kids that were 7 and 8 when Amy was born. So that's a big gap. But today it's not. Today doesn't feel like they're that far apart. But I'm certainly glad of the difference of their age, because it's kept me young all these years. But anyway, so Amy was born 1 year to the day that I became a licensed real estate agent. And she has grown up in the industry, but it's also allowed me the opportunity to be a mother as well as a nana now, and also to help people, and having that nurturing, compassion for my family. I'm able to, that falls over into the real estate industry, and I understand family dynamics, so I understand what it means to find the perfect home for someone whenever they're looking to buy in this industry. My husband and I visited Charleston, South Carolina prior to 2014 and absolutely fell in love with Charleston.
It's hard not to. It really is.
Let me explain to you how little I knew about Charleston. So I'm not geographically challenged. However, he said, we're going to Charleston. I didn't look and see where Charleston was. It had never been on my radar. Mm-hmm. So we're going to Charleston for my birthday many years ago. In fact, I had red hair the year we visited.
Love that.
I dyed it. I was in a play at church, and so I dyed my hair red. Anyway, and so we visited. And it was, of course, around Christmas time. So the lighting of the Christmas tree and all the things that you fall in love with during this time of year in Charleston, I fell in love with, of course. So remember I told you I didn't know where I was?
Yeah.
I didn't know they had beaches here. I honestly did not realize we were on the East Coast. We were just going to Charleston.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I grew up going to Myrtle Beach. I know Myrtle Beach is on the beach, but I just did not realize that we were that close to the beach. We didn't go. So fast forward, we came back in the summertime and visited with Amy, my daughter. And then we knew about the beaches.
Yeah.
And so we tooled around Isle of Palms and Sullivan's Island and Folly Beach. And so those were the beaches that I knew about at the time prior to moving here. Mm-hmm. Fast forward. We had adopted 2 children. My parents were moving to Myrtle Beach, and we needed a fresh start. And what a perfect place to take my family from Atlanta, where I have and still continue to sell real estate, to a new location, and that was Charleston, South Carolina. I didn't know a single person here. No one.
Hey, I didn't either. I knew my husband. That was it.
But I'm coming into sales, Olivia.
You know?
So I joined a team. And I believe joining a team, I was able to get my foundation and get my sphere of influence, get my vendors and my business partners during that time. And so that was June of 2014 that I moved here. And by October, I was able to move my family here because I felt strong enough about the move. Now, keep in mind, we're just now coming off of the 2008-9 crash.
Yeah.
And in 2014, Charleston had started the uptick quicker than Georgia. So I hit the ground running. I mean, I worked from 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night, making those phone calls, following up, and presenting business for my family. So we were able to move him here. And then in 2019, Shane had asked me one more time, when are we going to open up the American Realty? And here we are.
Yeah.
And that's how it came to be. So that's why we're here.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I feel like Charleston is that place too now, especially after COVID. It was deemed like one of the top cities for remote workers. So now even, almost 4 years later, we're still seeing so many people move to Charleston for so many different reasons. We have the Navy base, we have, the Joint base, we got all of these remote workers that just don't want to be where they're at, and they want to live where a place that has beaches.
Yes. And wonderful food.
And so it's a thriving market for agents, really. I mean, it never seems to end on the amount of realtors you see and listings you see, but in a good way. It's not that market of kind of oversaturation in a sense. I feel like we're still in that good market of, you have agents who've worked for 30 years working alongside agents of a year or 2 years.
Sure.
And building these communities. I mean, look at how many different companies are here in the area. It's crazy. And
crazy good.
yes, it is. And going into that, I feel like a lot of people look to real estate, especially now, as a opportunity, like you said, to be flexible and to be with your family and to be free in a sense of your work schedule. People don't want to work 9 to 5s anymore. Like that's out. I don't know why we're still doing it. It's not a thing, but
we work more than 9 to 5.
But you work for yourself in a
Right.
sense.
I do, but the hours that we put in, I may take an hour off to go and coach football or softball or cheerleading, whatever, but I'm back at the job after that. So it's early mornings, late nights a lot of times. So don't lose sight of that. But I wanted to say something about what you said a minute ago about COVID.
Yeah.
So in 1994, when I started selling real estate, we sold out of books.
Yeah.
Do you remember what a phone book looked like?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm
you're
not
old enough.
I'm not that young.
So we sold out of books. We didn't have MLS on the computers yet. So when COVID hit, I literally sold my very first house
Online.
Everything. We wrote the contract. Of course, that's been, something that we've been doing for a while. But I showed the property by video. I did the inspection by video. I did the appraisal by video. He did a closing remotely.
Yeah.
He couldn't get out of Washington, so he had to do the closing remotely.
Yeah.
So everything was done. And that was the very first time in all those years that I'd sold a house. So we have come a long way.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to say that everything about technology is for the good, because a lot of times I feel like we lose the personal relationships that we don't have the opportunity of establishing by remote. When we're in front of someone, then we get to really get to know them, ask questions. They can ask questions about us. We spend time together. So there's a lot to be said for that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm still friends with my real estate agent on Facebook that sold us our house here almost 3 years ago.
Right.
It is a true connection, and
100%.
she was military, so her husband moved them here, and we had that connection because I grew up a military kid, and so it was very easy. She understood the concerns that I had with buying a house.
Right.
More than the concerns that my husband had buying, because he lived in one house from the ages of 3
Never moved. Yeah.
to 25. His
Right.
parents lived in that house. And then his mom just sold that house last year.
Okay.
So we had very different houses experiences, you know. So when we went into it, it was nice to have an agent who also moved around like I did, but also had that same thought of, I want my kids to be raised in that house. So she took both angles, and it was really, really nice to have that. And I feel like that's a stepping stone of being an agent. You have to be able to do that. You have to be able to talk with people and you know, make them laugh and, you know, give them the truth in a good way, because sometimes the market's not fun and, you know, and it's hard, but that's the point of being an agent. That's what you're there for.
Well, it's true compassion and being compassionate of what somebody else's needs are above your own. I was having a conversation today with a new hire agent, and I was telling her, you know, it's about build your sphere of influence. They will take you a long way in this business. Don't lose sight of them, you know. Last week I had coffee with one of my past clients, and it's the first time I met her because she bought remotely. So I went and took her my closing gifts. She closed in July. First time I met her was last week, but I went and had coffee with her.
Yeah.
You know, when I walked in, we had her closing gift, and she goes, "Would you like a cup of coffee?" I'm like, "Absolutely."
Yeah.
So I sat there with her for a while, and we got to know each other on a personal level, not on the phone.
Yeah.
You know, and so I believe that, you know, it's important to have lunch, have coffee, have dinner, invite them, you know, to go to trivia, which I love. You know, there's just things that you can do to stay in front of them.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, like you said, you know, having all those qualities makes an agent in a sense. But where do you start? Where do you even begin? I know where to begin because of you. I walked in this door, 6 months ago?
Longer than that,
I don't
believe.
even know.
I think we're going on a year.
It's crazy. I don't even know. But, you know, I walked in here not looking to get into real estate, and then it came up and we had a conversation about it, and now I'm hopefully next week I'll be ready to take my state exam. the final big one. You know, I feel like there's a lot online, you know, with everything now. It's very easy to go online and type in, how do I get a real estate license? And then a million things pop up from everywhere, and everything is online now for the most part. There are a lot of online courses, and I feel like it's very easy to get lost in the search of what to do, to not actually know what to do.
Sure.
And, you know, with American Realty, we have the Real Estate U. That is a wonderful program, and I'm not saying that just because I am taking a course.
You can give the plug. You can give the plug.
But it really is. It's true independence. I work 2 jobs. I work, you know, a traditional 40-hour job, and then I do this on the side, and it gives me that freedom of when I get home at night, I'm on my computer at 8 o'clock at night doing my course. And, you know, it's great for people like me and single moms and college students even that aren't sure, and it's a great way to start a career without doing too much in the beginning.
Go at your own pace.
The legwork gets done after. It kind of gives you that. You can take the courses and be done, because, you know, when you go to college, they're like, oh, here's all your classes. Take your classes, and then you get to graduation, and they're like, go get a job. Like, it's immediately that feeling. So, you know, I'm sure it was different too when you started versus now, but I feel
Not
like
really.
there's. I was going to say.
I mean, it's really and truly, it's basically the same thing. Get your business cards today, digital, or you can hand out paper cards still. I'd have both, but get in front of people. For sale by owners, expired listings. We don't have as many, but we're starting to see those come up again, where the houses are not selling because the sellers are still in the state of mind that we've been in the last couple of years, that, you know, buyers are going to pay more than what the house is worth. And what is that house worth? Because they've inflated the sales price, buyers and sellers. But it's really the same thing. It's who do you know? Who do you know that's interested in buying or selling real estate? Those are the questions that you need to be asking anybody and everybody that you know. Because if you ask them, who do you know that's thinking about buying or selling real estate? And then shut up. And they'll get uncomfortable with the silence. And then they'll say, you know what? Jane Smith down the road mentioned something about the fact that her son from Washington's getting ready to move here. Really?
Yep.
But you just have to not talk anymore. You have to wait. that pause is a lot.
Yeah.
It's to say a lot. And then get out in the community. People are not going to knock on your door and say, hey, will you come sell my house? Hey, will you help me buy a house? You have to get out in the community and let people know. Don't be afraid to let people know that you're in real estate. So it's really that. And then, of course, having a website, and that'll bring in leads and stuff. But there's networking groups and Chamber of Commerce, and we've got the Somerville Dream. There's so much that's free to us.
Yeah.
As far as networking. So it's just getting out and meeting people.
Yeah, especially here in Somerville. I mean,
absolutely.
Between us two, I feel like we're always at a different event at least every other day. I mean, I finally attended a Somerville Women in Business, plugged to that group too.
I missed that one.
I know.
I was glad you were there for the team.
I was expecting to see you, but yeah.
It's so funny. After you attended, they're like, I saw Olivia today.
I know Jennifer made me laugh on that. Yeah, I know.
Oh my goodness.
But there's those groups, and it's very nice too. In Somerville and Charleston in general,
sure,
especially for women in business. I worked in construction here before I did this, before I got into marketing, and it's a very man's community here in Charleston. It is a very, and it has to do with the history of Charleston. It's the wealth and the families, and
it really is. And we're changing that, though.
Yeah, and I would
so many strong, powerful women groups here.
We just had the Renaissance Women's Conference last Wednesday. Wasn't able to go, but it was a huge turnout of all women. I mean, it was just women, and it's really cool to see, because it does encourage people that are debating, do I want to get into real estate? But you see all the billboards on the highway, and you don't see a woman on those billboards. But guess what? The women are selling just as much as them.
Sure, absolutely. Not bashing men at all.
No.
Not bashing. Not bashing.
No, but it helps create that community in another sense too.
Absolutely. I think a lot of times, when I'm working with a couple, not always, but most of the time, the wife, the nurturer, the family-minded individual is going to fall in love with the home for what it has to offer, and the husband is about, okay, what's the budget?
Yep.
But sometimes, Tina and Mike, they're my sister and her husband. They're completely opposite. She's about the numbers, and of course, the bells and whistle is my brother-in-law. So, yeah.
Yeah.
There's that.
And then that's, like we said earlier, the whole point of an agent. Because, there's people say it all the time now, oh, well, there's Zillow. Oh, there's Realtor. I can just go online and find a house. And, they make it easy. You can set up your own appointments to go look at the house, and you don't know whose agent is going to be there. It's the seller's agent. But I've seen people, we've gone to open houses before we bought ours. People walk in there and they don't want to talk to anybody. They want to look at the house, pick up the paper that's got all the information, and leave. That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
And those are the people we have to go after. Those are the people we have to convince that you need me.
Yeah.
Just as much as I need your business, you need my business.
Right.
Like you're selling yourself.
Well, when I have those people that walk in that seem to want to be kind of standoffish, I let them be standoffish. I don't go into every single room, but I'm not far away, especially if it's a home that's lived in. We want to make sure that we're manning the open house and be within earshot of them.
Yeah.
And so then, as they're walking around, if I hear something that's mentioned, that I might comment in. Otherwise, I just try to make small talk. Yeah. I don't try to talk necessarily about the house. It's how are you doing? What brought you to the area? Are you currently living here? Just trying to make conversation, not just, are you ready to buy the house?
Yeah.
Does the house look like something that you might buy? I don't ask those kind of questions. It's more about, let me figure out how to break the ice. And 99% of the time, I find a commonality.
Yeah.
Something that there's kids or grandkids or dogs, or something.
Yeah.
There's something. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially everyone's a transplant here too. So there's
True.
always somebody from I was just talking to someone the other day. I've met 2 people from Kansas the other day.
Really?
Yeah. Out of nowhere. And they live a few blocks from where my husband grew up.
I'll be darned.
Like, out of the blue, right?
Kansas
And
is
so-
coming here. They're tired of the corn.
Hey, it's kind of cold too. It's snowing right now.
I just drove a lot of corn.
Yeah, you drove through, yeah. But
I drove my daughter. Anybody that doesn't know this, I drove my daughter to California, and between here and California, there's so much corn.
there's a whole lot of nothing. And
I
so,
know.
like,
The
those
corn.
few middle states, there's just oh.
Oh
But,
goodness.
but yeah, no, it's it's a process, and it's something that changes every day, and that's the whole point of it's Miller Time, is to bring the news to you. You don't have to
Absolutely.
search. You don't have to wander the internet and read all the scary articles that are put out there about the market and what's going on in our town specifically too.
Sure.
I mean, I watched the news for the first time last night, and I don't remember how long. I tried to watch Jeopardy, and the news was on before, and then it didn't even let me watch Jeopardy.
The news is so depressing.
But it was actually not too bad last night. There was a lot of good things happening in Berkeley and Dorchester County, and it
That's
was good to
wonderful.
hear.
Yeah.
And so I think, we're bringing that here too. We're bringing
Yeah.
the positive. We're bringing the good,
Absolutely.
because it's not all bad. It's not all business. I think that's the other thing that people, especially if you're moving here, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at jobs, and you're looking at houses, and you're looking at, if you do have a house, you're probably looking at movers and everything else that goes into house, painters, if you're like me and don't want to paint your own house.
we have all those
But,
people.
you're looking for that, and so it's really easy to get sucked into the vortex of the internet, as I like to call it.
It's scary because you'll get started, and then the next thing you know, I mean, for me, ADHD, and I'm like, golly, that was a big squirrel.
Yeah, that's me too.
Because
so.
I'll start on one thing, and then it just drives me in a total different direction. So yeah, I get
Yeah.
it. But yeah,
Yeah, so that's what this is for. Be talking weekly with people like me and other realtors, other professionals in the industry, lenders, mortgage people, hopefully some economic development people.
absolutely. And we'll have some county council. I've already talked to one of my friends who's with Dorchester County Council and told him he's
Yeah.
going to be interviewed before long. So yeah, we look forward to bringing you more information and providing some kind of insight as to what's going on.
Yeah, well, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Yeah.
That's good.